Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 91. I'm Ignius, and today, big news. Robocraft goes MOBA. That's right, from the devs today. And there will be a link in the information section below the video to the post outlining all of the different details that they gave us today. They're taking the main Robocraft meta and going in a completely different direction from what we've got now. Before we talk about that, we'll just talk about the one thing that I wanted to point out as it's kind of a side detail is the boss battles are going away. So that whole thing of, people who want to be the boss queue for boss battles, and then people who don't necessarily want to be participating in boss battles, or who do, whatever, they're just randomly pulled out of the pool and sent in to fight that boss. Gone. So the devs recognize that it's a controversial decision. They feel that it doesn't fit with where they're taking the game. I was never opposed to the idea of having boss battles in the game. I was opposed to being forced to take part in them whether I wanted to or not. This is kind of like a solution that wasn't necessarily what I was looking for, but for me, you're not going to hear me complaining. It's just one of those things. If they had have taken it and changed it so that everyone had a choice whether or not they wanted to participate, I wouldn't have complained at all. But in this case, it sort of ends up the same for me one way or the other. Now, the main thing with this whole MOBA deal is that the maps are going to be changed so that there's going to be 4 towers in addition to 4 towers for each team in addition to the team's main base. You win by destroying the enemy team's base. There's no destroy all of the enemy bots because now everyone respawns. Just like in most of your popular MOBAs, when you die, you respawn back at your base and you can continue the fight, which is not necessarily something that I was expecting, but I can't necessarily say that I'm opposed to the idea because it means that those one-off situations where you just found yourself in a bad situation and your match ends because you get destroyed right now, less of an issue when you can just respawn. If you're constantly dying, your respawn timer goes up, so it takes you longer to respawn, or at least I would assume that this is the system that they will be using because it's pretty common in the whole MOBA scene. It becomes an incentive for people to learn a little bit about what more they can do to stay alive a little bit longer. So there's that aspect of things. Megabots will have longer respawn timers than their other tier 10 counterparts, which for me is just fine. I'm okay with it until I finally build a Megabot, and then I might feel a little bit sad, but what can you do? In keeping with the theme of the whole MOBA idea, you'll level up as you progress through each match. So it's not a permanent level up. You start off at a baseline, whatever your bot happens to be, and then as you progress through the match, destroying enemy bots, capturing enemy towers, defending your base, whatever, you earn clock cycles, which are like experience, and when you reach a certain threshold, you level up, and your robot's abilities are improved. For example, you might be able to fire faster, you might do more damage, plasma will have a wider area on the splash effect. All kinds of different things they can do as you level up. In addition, instead of just a human pilot in your bots, you will have a supercomputer of your choosing. It's like a little humanoid-bodied robot. There's one of 3 to choose from. And based on the one that you choose, you'll get different abilities. For example, the one that stuck out for me is the ability to place like a shield over an enemy bot so that it can't receive healing for a few seconds. I thought that was kind of neat. It is just something that I would be interested in trying. Let's just say that. And like I say, depending on which one you choose, there are different abilities. The devs have said in the posting that they're just kind of showing you the ideas, what they have right now. They may change before they launch, but just keep an eye on them, give you an idea of what they were. There's some examples that they gave in that post. So the whole idea is that you play in the map, and you destroy enemy bots, and you defend your towers, and you capture towers. Towers give you passive CPU cycles, or clock cycles for your CPU experience, basically. So the more towers you have control of, the faster you will level up, in addition to all the other things that you're doing that earn clock cycles. And then when your team is powerful enough, you can take on the enemy base. If you're sitting in the shield around your base, you receive constant healing. So if you have to fall back to defend your base, you will receive constant healing while you're in the shield. Enemies cannot shoot through the shields into it and attack friendly, your bots that are defending the base. They have to drive through the shield and then they can shoot at you, but you can shoot out of the shield at enemies that are outside it. So it's definitely requiring an organized push of stronger bots to get through the shield and get down to the business of destroying the enemy base. And if you do destroy the base, then you win the match, and that's how it goes. So you've got the respawn thing keeping you in the match till the end. Everyone is in the match till the end. They say it'll be 20 to 30 minutes, I guess they estimate is how long it will take for a match. And then based on that, the RP rewards will also be increased relative to what we're seeing now on a match-per-match basis to reflect the amount of time that you're tied up in the different matches. So right now what we've got in the game is a situation where quite often it's just everyone sort of, especially in Tier 10, obviously, because it's the only place where you find megabots, but in Tier 10 is where you see it the most, is everyone goes one direction. They'll go around one lane, and then if the enemy team goes around the other lane, you don't even see each other. It's a race to see who gets to the base first to start capturing, and then if you're lucky, the enemy team won't make it back to interrupt before you finish capturing, and then you win. But you never actually fought anyone, and it's really awful. It can happen in lower tier matches. It's less likely because teams will tend to split up a little bit more. You'll get, ideally, a couple of different groups moving through the map. Any more than that, and you're spread out a little bit too thin sometimes to really be productive. But at the same time, you don't get these same situations with the megabots where everyone's just kind of surrounding the megabot, and then the megabot goes where they go, and if they miss each other, they miss each other, and there's no fighting that takes place. This match, actually, in the Flying Squirrel, is a prime example of teams that completely miss each other, and our guys are, like, this team that I'm on, completely oblivious to what's going on in this match. So there's a rail bot that I was shooting at. He got me once. So I kept the fire on him to try and discourage him from continuing to shoot at me. And then down here there's a plasma bot and an SMG cruiser who's shooting at me. And if you watch, when I finally get spun around properly, I'll fly over the cave so that I've got the mountain between me and the guys who are shooting me. And then when I get to the other side, while I'm waiting to figure out what our team is trying to do, that SMG cruiser is going to come around the road through the middle, and he's going to start shooting at me again, and the entire time, my frickin' team isn't going to do a damn thing about it. They just completely ignored him. I had him lit this whole time, and they're just looking for the base, and when they get to the base, they're going to realize that the enemy has already started capping. Oh, well, we should probably drive around the other lane and interrupt them. There's not enough going on the map to encourage people to kind of stop and think about where they are and where they're going. It's very, very easy to pick a lane and go. And that's the whole match, if you're not lucky. So, giving us 4 different towers that we have to defend and 4 that we want to capture, plus the enemy base that we're thinking about. There's a lot more going on. It's a lot less likely that you're going to get into these matches where most of your team completely avoids the fighting for the entirety of the match and just kind of goes around in the bit trying their best to capture and then realizing they can't because the enemy beat them to the base. So there are issues with the game now as it sits, and it's nothing that can't be fixed, and I think that moving it in the direction that the devs are now talking about is a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. I wholly support it, not because I think it's perfect, but because it sounds a lot more interesting than what we've been doing now. So as far as that goes, I'm going to be kind of keeping an eye on it. I don't necessarily think it's productive to release a new video for each new blurb of news. That's why I've never done it. But for the big stuff, I think it's interesting to talk about it and kind of share some ideas. And then you guys can share your ideas in the comments section, whatever you like. But definitely, if there's anything major going on and worthy of special attention, I'll bring it up in the next match footage. Or if I'm involved in a build, I'll mention it there and always provide the links if I can, so that you guys can get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So I'll let you watch the rest of this match because it ends up being a win for me. It's not much longer than the last one. Actually, this one's only got about 2 minutes left in it. Again, look at, they're all just completely missing the fight altogether. They don't have any enemy bots lit, and they're all just making a beeline for the base. But we're going to win, and that's really all I wanted for this match. So that's what's going to happen. So If you want to be notified when I add new videos, we got Robocraft stuff coming, all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, very quickly, the beginner's guide that I've been working on was maybe a day or two from being complete until I read all this new information. There's not much point in me doing a beginner's guide now when the entire game meta is going to be changing. So as soon as we get a launched version of the current plan for the MOBA thing, that's when I'll start looking at finishing the beginner's guide to reflect the new information. In the meantime, we're going to just focus on builds and match footage until we've got some appropriate information that we can share in the form of guide. So if you want to be notified, information section has links for my social media. You can follow me on social media for upload notifications. You can also subscribe to my channel. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.
User spotted.